Hello and welcome to Right Sports Talk. My name is Zach. And today was the official first day of NFL free agency, or I guess technically the first day of the legal tampering period of NFL free agency, where teams can officially talk to players and agents and agree to deals that can officially be signed and go into effect this Wednesday, March 11th. As the new NFL league year begins. I just wanted to sit down and talk about some of the notable moves that happened today. I'm actually going to start with a couple of moves that took place last week. First off, the Buffalo Bills traded for wide receiver DJ Moore from the Chicago Bears. I think that was a pretty good move for Buffalo. It gets them a true number one receiver, at least for their offense. It gives Josh Allen a very reliable receiving option in a guy that has had production. He had over 1,000-yard receiving season a few years ago with Justin Fields as his quarterback. He had a couple of good years under or with Caleb Williams, but was surrounded by other receiving talent. But now he goes to Buffalo, gets shot to be the true number one guy in that offense with one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL in Josh Allen. Also, another notable thing that happened over the weekend, Saturday night, the Baltimore Ravens traded their first round pick this year and their first round pick next year to the Las Vegas Raiders for defensive end Max Crosby. So the Ravens get a much needed pass rusher for their defense. It's one of the better pass rushers in the NFL. It's somebody that can come in and make a huge impact on that defense. It's already a pretty talented defense. So I really like that move for Baltimore. And it's a move that by trading not just one, but two first round picks, it's one that I believe Baltimore thinks can bring them not only back into the playoffs, but can get them a Super Bowl push. So those are a couple of ones that happened before free agency, the tampering period officially began. So let's get into some notable signings. Starting off actually with the Las Vegas Raiders. They had a few signings today. Their most notable one was center Tyler Linderbaum, who was the number one center free agent in this year's free agency class. He is a much needed addition to this Raiders offensive line, which was one of their weaker points last season. And I think will be a big boost and a much needed position for them. They also made a few additions to their defense, bringing in defensive end Kwity Paye, linebacker Quay Walker, and linebacker Nakobe Dean. Kwity Paye, it gives them, a good pass rusher, not somebody that can be a true Max Crosby replacement, but somebody that can get production for them. And then with Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean, it gives them two very athletic linebackers. Quay Walker, very reliable tackler. Nakobe Dean, very athletic, can go all over the field, wherever, drop back into coverage, can make tackles, can just fly around the field. I think that's a good addition for their defense. Next up, the Kansas City Chiefs made a very big running back signing by signing running back Kenneth Walker, the reigning Super Bowl MVP, one of the better running backs in the league, especially when he's healthy. I think this will be a major boost to this Chiefs offense. If there was a weak point to their offense last year, it was definitely their run game. There was multiple games in which Patrick Mahomes was their leading rusher, and they kind of were struggling in the run game with Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. But I think Kenneth Walker gives them somebody that can be a true workhorse running back and could help, especially early in the season, as Patrick Mahomes works back from his knee injury. Speaking of the Chiefs, moving on to the LA Rams, actually have a few former Kansas City Chiefs. So last week they traded for cornerback Trent McDuffie from the Chiefs, and today they also signed cornerback Jalen Watson, who was formerly on the Chiefs, reconnecting those two in their secondary in a position that was a major need for their defense. It was one of probably their weakest defensive position last year was corner, and they just addressed it with two outstanding corners, two of the better corners in the NFL this past season. And Trent McDuffie has been a very good corner for the past few years. Next up, the New York Jets. First off, they traded for safety Minkah Fitzpatrick from the Dolphins, and they also signed linebacker Demario Davis, who was formerly with the Saints. For Demario Davis, he actually gets to come back to the Jets. That's where he started his career. He is a veteran linebacker. He's going to be a very good veteran presence. He's still a very talented linebacker that can help his defense. And for Minkah Fitzpatrick, he's a very good safety that can help out their secondary that can hopefully record an interception this season, as they recorded 0 all of last regular season. Actually, moving on to the Miami Dolphins. So they started off today by announcing they're going to be releasing quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, and then they signed who they hope to be his replacement long-term in quarterback Malik Willis. Malik Willis is a quarterback that has shown flashes in his career, starting off with Tennessee. Didn't go great while he was there. And then he spent the past couple of years with the Green Bay Packers, again showing some flashes in the limited playing time and limited starts that he has had. So Miami Dolphins are bringing him in and hoping that he can provide a spark to this very athletic, very dynamic offense and be a good replacement for Tua. Speaking of Tua, the Atlanta Falcons have, after being released from the Miami Dolphins, the Atlanta Falcons announced that they're going to be signing Tua Tagovailoa. They're just stockpiling left-handed quarterbacks. I think this could be a good move for them, as Michael Penix still recovers from, I believe, a knee injury that took him out last season. So Tua could be their quarterback at the start of the season, and we'll see how he does. There's definitely plenty of weapons in Atlanta's offense for him to work with. They have a very talented offense. We've got Drake London there. They've got Bijan Robinson. They've got Kyle Pitts. They've got a lot of talent around him. We'll see how he does and if he can stay healthy and maintain and hold on to a starting job if he gets it there in Atlanta. Now, moving on to the New Orleans Saints. Their biggest signing was they signed running back Travis Etienne. Etienne, a very good running back. I believe 2 out of the past 3 years, he's had double-digit touchdowns. I know this past season, I believe he had 13 touchdowns. He's a very good runner, very good in the receiving game. He can be a very big help and could be a very big safety blanket for Tyler Shuck. This does bring into question what now are they going to do with Alvin Kamara, if they're going to move on from him, because I think a lot of things that Kamara does well, Etienne also does very well, and he is a few years younger than Kamara. They also signed tight end Noah Fant, so that's a athletic tight end they can add to this offense that can again possibly be a big help for Tyler Shuck. Next up, the Carolina Panthers signed outside linebacker Jalen Phillips. And I think this is a big signing for the Panthers. Pass rusher or edge rusher is a position that they have very much needed, and it's another addition to this defense that was better last year than it was the year before. And with Jalen Phillips, who is coming off of a pretty good season with the Philadelphia Eagles, it's somebody they hope can add another addition, another layer to this defense and make them even better going into this upcoming season. Moving on, the Dallas Cowboys traded for defensive lineman Rashawn Gary from the Packers. Rashawn Gary was somebody that was most likely going to be just released by the Packers. I think, good for them. They were able to get a 4th-round pick, not this year, but in 2027. So they got something for a guy they were going to cut. For the Cowboys, I don't know what Rashawn Gary really brings to them. It is a pass rusher, which they desperately need, but I don't know how he's going to do with Dallas. Rashawn Gary, really even through his time at Michigan, is a player that has had a lot of talent and has had a lot of potential, but hasn't really been able to put it together with a lot of production. He's had, I believe, a couple of double-digit sack seasons, but he's also had some seasons where he hasn't really shown up to some games where there's been effort concerns. So I'm interested to see how he will do on this Dallas defense. Now, speaking of trades, the Pittsburgh Steelers traded for wide receiver Michael Pittman from the Indianapolis Colts. This gives them something that they very desperately needed, and a true number 2 wide receiver that they can pair with DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf can be, the big play, deep threat guy, and Michael Pittman can be more of the all-around, well-rounded wide receiver that can, run basically all the routes, can, get open in the middle of the field, can get short gains, and, do stuff with the ball in his hands. Just, somebody that can be a well-rounded wide receiver to pair with a DK Metcalf that can always take the top off of a defense. So it's a very good pairing there. They also signed running back Rico Dowdle, who they can pair with Jaylen Warren. They have a pretty good running back tandem. Dowdle is coming off of a 1,000-yard season with the Carolina Panthers. I think this will be a very good running back duo for them. And they also signed cornerback Jamal Dean to go with their secondary. I think he could be a big boost for their secondary. They also signed cornerback Asante Samuel. He's coming back to Pittsburgh after one season with, I believe, the Chargers last year. So they're really trying to, bring in a couple guys to help their secondary that kind of struggled a little bit last season, bring in some corners to really help them out there. Moving on, the Cincinnati Bengals made a couple of signings to try and help out their defense that struggled last year. They signed linebacker Boye Mafe and safety Brian Cook. Mafe is somebody that can help them in the pass, get a pass rush, can really be a boost to their defense. And Brian Cook can be a boost to their secondary at safety, and really hopefully help out this Bengals defense that has really struggled the past few seasons. Moving on, the New York Giants signed tight end Isaiah Likely, formerly of the Baltimore Ravens. So he's going back to rejoin John Harbaugh, his former head coach with the Ravens. This is a very talented, athletic, big body tight end that is more so like a big body wide receiver with his athleticism and his speed, that can really go into this Giants offense, which is a very talented offense with Malik Neighbors hopefully coming back from injury, and Cam Scatterbo at running back hopefully coming back from injury. They should hopefully have some pieces on this offense, and he should really help improve this offense going into next season. Next up, you have the Tennessee Titans, who signed former Giants wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson. He's going to be joining his former head coach, who is now the offensive coordinator at Tennessee, and Brian Daboll. He's a guy that's coming off of a 1,000-yard receiving season. It's his first 1,000-yard receiving season of his career. He's a very dynamic playmaker with the ball in his hands. He's somebody that, if you can get the ball to him quick in the screen game, he can make plays, but he can also make plays downfield as a downfield threat receiver. It's a very good receiver that should help out this Tennessee Titans offense and their young quarterback in Cam Ward. The Titans also signed defensive lineman John Franklin Myers, formerly of the Broncos. Their past few seasons with the Broncos, he's had production in the past. He is somebody that's actually rejoining one of his former head coaches, and Robert Saleh from his time in New York. So it's a very good, I think, good reunion. It's going to be a guy, John Franklin Myers, who should be familiar with Robert Saleh and how he likes to do things, and has had production and is still a very good defensive lineman. Moving on to the Washington Commanders, one of their more notable signings was linebacker Odafe Oweh, formerly of the Chargers, before that with the Ravens. He's somebody that they can come in and help bring a pass rush to them, which they desperately need. He is somebody that has shown he can have production. He had a double-digit sack season a couple of years ago with the Ravens. I'm sure the Commanders are hoping that he can come in and really help bring a spark to this defense and help with their pass rush. Moving on, the Houston Texans signed safety Reed Blankenship. So one of the exciting whites is going from Philadelphia to Houston. He's somebody that is just kind of being added to a very talented secondary already that has Devin Singletary, or Devin, yeah, sorry, and Kamari Lassiter. So two very talented quarterbacks. Devin Stingley, not Singletary, and Kamari Lassiter. So two very talented corners. And adding Reed Blankenship is a very good safety, pairing with those already very good corners. So Texans look to really improve their defense going into the next season. Just one thing I want to mention real quick. Did not happen today, but happened last week, I believe. The Texans also traded for David Montgomery from the Lions. So that's a good running back addition for the Houston Texans. And the final one that I want to talk about today is the San Francisco 49ers signing wide receiver Mike Evans, formerly of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's there for 12 years. He was there since 2014. He's had a 1,000-yard receiving season all of his seasons in the NFL, except for last year when he missed 9 games due to injuries. So if he can, stay healthy, he's a major addition to this 49ers receiving core, 49ers offense, which struggled with injuries. So if he can stay healthy and he can be, the Mike Evans that he was even just a couple of years ago when he was still getting, a 1,000-yard season, I think he can really help out this 49ers team. That's everybody that I want to talk about for today. Obviously, that's not everybody that has been signed. There's tons of players that have been signed today, lots of teams signing many players. But I think these are some of the more notable ones that I want to talk about. If there's anybody that you can think of that your team signed that you're excited for, let me know in the comments. If there's anybody that's still a remaining free agent that you think your team should go after, let me know in the comments, because there are still some pretty big name free agents remaining. I think a couple of the biggest ones are defensive end Trey Hendrickson, who was formerly with the Bengals, and linebacker Devin Lloyd, who was formerly with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think those are two of the bigger names still available. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Till next time.